Today I want to talk about leverage. Leverage is what makes property so powerful. When talking about the wealthiest people in the world, they all invest in property, right? But they don't talk about how many properties they paid off. Like if you look up any of the most successful investors in the world, they own thousands of properties. They have their focus on how many assets they control, not about how many assets they've paid off. They would rather have equity in property and a considerable percentage of debt against it in order to acquire more assets. Now it works like this. Let's say you have $40,000 worth of gold. Let's say the average growth rate is 8%, just enough to beat the inflation at the moment, right? In 1 year, 40,000 times 108 equals 43,200. 3,200 in profit in the first year. Now what about stocks? Let's say you're quite savvy with the stock market. Let's say you're able to get 20%. 40,000 in 1 year turns to 48,000. $8,000 profit. Pretty good. But it's still not going to make you wealthy though. It simply takes too long. Now let's compare with property. What can $40,000 do for you in property? On average in Australia, the growth rate is 7%. Now here's where the magic happens. With a $40,000 deposit, you can own a property worth $800,000, which means you get 7% growth on $800,000, not 7% growth of $40,000. 800K times 107 is 856. $56,000 profit in the first year. And we haven't even talked about tax deductions and compounding growth yet. Anyway, these 56,000 are newly created equity that can be borrowed against, and you can invest in more properties. And equity is not real tangible money, so it can't be taxed. This is the power of leverage. You see, you can't buy $800,000 worth of gold with a $40,000 deposit. You can't have people live and pay rent in your gold or stocks. With a $40,000 deposit put up against an $800,000 property, you would have profited $800,000 within 10 years. And here's another amazing thing. Let's say you go for an interest-only loan. After 10 years, your property is worth 1.6 million and your rental income is now $1,600 per week. The value of your property has doubled. The rental return has doubled, but your credit stays the same. You can imagine your cash flow after doing this a couple of times. This is how you build wealth. You can't save yourself wealthy. You can't work yourself wealthy. You have to use leverage. Let the system work for you and not against you. Otherwise, you're never going to get wealthy.